Good afternoon. My name is Okonkwo J, and welcome to PagePedia Videography Challenge. We have here Mr. Ayodeji Karim, the Managing Director of Costain West African PLC. Welcome, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Ayodeji Karim. As you said, I'm the current Managing Director, CEO of Costain West Africa PLC. I'll tell you a bit about Costain and about myself. Costain has been in Nigeria since 1948. We are working, as the name suggests, we're working all over the English-speaking West African countries. Nigeria represents about 90% of our turnover. At the moment, we're working in 4 to 5 different divisions: rail, road, oil and gas, infrastructure, residential, commercial building, jetty and ports.
Okay, so how do you spend most of your time?
Well, I spend most of my time in 2 ways. Apart from work that I do from Monday to Friday, I have a pastime on weekends. I have a small farm. I'm interested in agribusiness. At the moment, that consumes my little time that I have apart from work.
Okay, so is this where you thought you'd be today? Like, looking at how far you've gone, is this where you thought you'd be today?
I actually thought construction was my calling in this. I thought I came into this world to build things.
Okay.
Then in the last few years, that is slightly changing. It's changing for 2 reasons. One, looking at the economy of the country where we are, and looking at the economy of the world. And second, looking at the job that I do at the moment, which is construction. Construction is very cyclical. Every 5 years, you see it up and it comes down. And I'll give you a typical example. If there's no food on the table, the last thing you want to think about is roofing and decking. Meaning, we're the first sector to suffer if there's a downturn in the economy. Then it got me thinking that I know this cycle. Now, every 3 to 4 years, we'll have a down, and depending on how bad the economy is, it's either manageable or not manageable. So it got me thinking. As I got older, I'm getting wiser. So I'm looking for an alternative stream of income. I realized I have a hobby and a passion for 4-legged animals, and I decided to look at the business side of it. So it's the numbers. That's one of my motivation.
Okay. So what used to be and is still your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness is that we're not reacting to the economic or human conditions quick enough to be able to prefer
like you're not quick to anger.
No, not quick to react to conditions around me, to people. I'll tell you what I mean by that is when you prefer if you look at the economic conditions, at times you're hoping that it will improve. And as you know, time is money. I'll give you an example. If I had 10 sites, for example, on each site, I would have all my equipment, I would have my suppliers, and I have my workmen. Now, you as a private client, if I'm working for you and there's an economic downturn, and you say to me, look, in 3 months' time, I would have money to pay your bills, right? What I do, I put on hold. Remember, I also have a lot of people relying on me to make payments too. So if you hold me for 3 months, there's a knock-on effect on that hold. And if we don't react by preferring solutions quick enough, then it affects the cash flow of the company. I think I see that as a weakness, because then looking back in hindsight, if we had reacted and taken a final decision on that, we would have been in a better place than where we are today.
So, what are you most proud of? Like, looking at all you've said, what do you think you're most proud of?
First of all, coming back to Nigeria to do construction.
Okay, you were never in Nigeria.
No, I wasn't in Nigeria until about 10 years ago. I moved back from the UK 10 years ago. And one of my proudest achievements is actually coming back to get involved with the construction infrastructure development in the country.
Okay, so Okay, now what do you think you would have known at my age? Like maybe 20 years back?
Are you trying to imply that I'm 20 years older than you?
No, I'm just saying, okay, 30 years back.
Good God.
Okay, 10 years back.
Okay, alright, that's much better.
What do you think you would have known? Or you wish you knew?
That's a very interesting question, and I would answer it. I would answer it in a slightly different way from the way you put it. 10 years ago, obviously I wasn't as old as I am now, not as experienced as I am now. So therefore, a lot of economic indices that's happened has gone from leaps and bounds compared to where it was. If you look at from 1990 to 2000, and the leaps that we've achieved between 2000 and 2015. So therefore, today I would say we didn't have the technology to be able to advise us to make real-time, to provide a real-time solution to our modern problems. I hate to use the word problem, actually. Let me clarify that. The word problem, I believe, is a problem in its own. So I'll rather stick to the word challenge or challenge. Okay, the challenges that we face today. I mean, if you look at where we were 10 years ago, what solution would we have preferred to it? Now, I believe that today we have technology to be able to accelerate whatever decision we make to achieve, to get to a quicker answer at the end of the day than where we were 10 years ago. So if you look at, I wish today was 15 years ago, so we can accelerate our development a lot quicker. That's my answer to it.
Okay, so can you tell us more on the professional organizations you're associated with?
Costain, West Africa is one. Like I said, we've been in Nigeria since 1948, and we've done a lot of work all over the country. There's hardly any state in Nigeria that does not have an area named after Costain. That shows how much we have done for the country. On a personal note, as I said to you, I'm interested in agribusiness. I think a country the size of Nigeria should be able to feed itself as well as feed its neighbors. I'll give you an example. I know from statistics that we are, for example, supposed to be consuming about 9 million cows, for example, per year. Currently, we only consume around about 3.5 million. I'll give you some numbers. Out of the 3.5 million, 2 million out of that comes from elsewhere. When I say elsewhere, it means from across the border, meaning Niger, Cameroon, Lake Chad. Essentially, we only produce 1.5 million here. If we now localize that number to where we are today, we live in Lagos, which is the western part of the country, which means that even 75% of that also comes from the northern part of Nigeria, which means on the worst case scenario, if we don't have meat product coming from the north, we're left with a population of around about 50 million to survive on around about 400,000 cows a year, right? And what that means is that there's a lot of opportunities to grow these animals in this part of the country because we're the biggest consumers of meat products in Nigeria. And we now bring in about 80% of that product into the south. For me, it doesn't make any sense. If you look at the logistics that's involved, the cost. I mean, if we grow these things here, then we can localize it. There's a lot of byproduct or add-ons to that. There's milk, there's hoofs, there's skin, hidden skin. There's a lot of products. So you know, we can think inwards and generate income as well as jobs locally by looking more into that sector.
Okay. So what do you think is the solution to all this?
Solution is actually very simple. Solution is this: everybody wants to work for an organization or a company or the government. Yeah. A lot of people are not thinking of SMEs. For SME to also work, there's some things has to be in place. There has to be government buying into the idea, first of all. There has to be an enabling environment for it to thrive. Number one, they have to have a proper legal framework to make sure it also works. And also the financial sector has to be ready and amenable and able to support small to medium term businessmen or farmers to be able to grow these animals in this part of the country.
Okay, so if you could do it all over again, what do you think you would do differently?
I would have just been a farmer.
Okay, so you think that's the best, like that? I know it's a whole lot, like being a farmer. It's not. It's totally different from what we see. So I just need you to tell us, like, what makes it more, like, why do you think you would have been a farmer? What makes it different?
3 things: quality,
Okay.
on-time delivery, within budget.
Okay.
Farming is an old word. I think it's agribusiness.
Okay. Agriculture. Yeah. Okay. So, what does empowerment mean to you? Because
Empowerment is a man or a woman doing something that's able to meet his daily needs, pay bills, be able to have a holiday, be able to afford the basic things in life. I think that's empowerment as far as I'm concerned.
So how do you approach the unknown?
Approaching the unknown, you have to be very, very versatile, first of all. You have to be open-minded. When something happens to you, you have to think through thoroughly and find the best way to approach it.
How do you bring courage and convictions in risky situations?
Well, you approach the situation with a clear head, first of all. You assess the situation and make a judgment call. Okay, rightly or wrongly, you stick to it, to the path. And I always believe when you do 3 things correctly, you never go wrong. You adapt, you improvise, and if you do those 2 things properly and successfully, you shall overcome.
So, what if you still go wrong?
Like I said to you before, if you go wrong, there's nothing, you pick yourself up, then approach it again, try to find the best solution to the problem by working with people, seek advice, and look for solutions.
So what values are you committed to?
Values, I come from a very progressive family where part of the core values is education. Education is a value for me that I think everybody should have. If there's no education, though, you must be willing to learn, have knowledge. Today, knowledge is power. There's a lot of empowerment out there. You have to find that knowledge, even if it takes you to China.
Okay. So right now, I totally loved listening to everything you said, and I learned a whole lot. And I know you know a lot of people out there we can connect to. So I want you to just recommend people, so maybe 2, 3 names we can, for this challenge, like challenge them. I need to hear more of this.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
So I hope you guys are listening, because
one person I'd love to challenge is Governor Isiaka Ajimobi of Oyo State. Actually, there's for one reason and one reason only. I think Oyo State is a focal, is a central, is a pivotal and a center in the southwestern part of Nigeria. I'll give you an example. If you're going to Osun, Ondo, and Ekiti, you must go through Oyo State. In terms of population, is hovering between 8 and 11 million, I believe. Yet there's a market there. Maybe not as buoyant as Lagos, but it creates an alternative to Lagos. I believe we must take advantage of that alternative. In terms of proximity, Ogun State is pretty close to Lagos, but we have a Lagos-Ibadan Express, which gives you a direct link to Oyo State. Now, I think we must take advantage of that. Secondly, there's an airport also, so you can bring in goods and services into that. There's a rail going to Ibadan, you must bring in goods and services. I don't believe we're taking advantage of that enough as it is, so I'd like to challenge the governor on that to hopefully be able to clarify or demystify that cloudness. Secondly, I think the Minister of Agric, actually, Chief Aldo Ogbe, I think he's also a very important person to challenge. I believe the country should be able to feed itself and feed its neighbors. If you look at the statistics of what we import, the amount of food and food product and byproduct that's imported into the country, I tell you, there was in Somalia, in northern part of Somalia, about 20 years ago, the people who live there. If you do not give them food via aid or through a helicopter, they don't eat. Right? In Nigeria today, I challenge you, if you pick a corn and go outside your door, put it in the ground, in a week's time, it germinates, right? In other parts of Africa, they don't have that luxury. Why are we not taking advantage of that, what we have? I think we're lucky people. We just need to harness and take advantage of where we're sitting. And I actually think also that some of us, maybe we know the value of what we're sitting on. We're not telling everybody else, or we just don't know at all.
Okay. So, we need a few words for the younger generations, people looking up to you, people under you, people that are very interested in agriculture. Like right now, you're making me really interested. So, just a few words.
As I said, you must be willing to learn. A lot of younger generations today they want to get rich quick without working as hard. Hard work is what's going to get you to where you're going to. Focus on what you need to do, seek the right advice, talk to the right people, hang with the right people, go to the right places. And with those things, you'll be successful. Okay. Personally, that's what I think.
Okay. So you've heard him clearly, you need hard work and perseverance, and you just need to be really careful. Hard work takes you everywhere you want to go to. So thank you very much, Mr. Ayodeji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for listening, and tune in for the next episode.